What's that? Why, this must be $2 million. Mine now. Can't wait to show Carla Jean. What was that noise? What the Sam hell is that? My money now. Why does your hair look like that? I knew I should have worn my running boots. Why does your breath smell like spoiled milk? What a nightmare. Thank Dolly. Howdy there, my name is Gremlin Lord, and welcome to my first movie review of 2026. Today's movie was a winner of a poll, which for some reason is still going, that the community chose. And today's movie is the 2007 Best Picture Oscar-winning film from the Coen brothers, No Country for Old Men. In rural Texas, welder and hunter Llewellyn Moss discovers the remains of several drug runners who have all killed each other in an exchange gone violently wrong. He finds a bag with $2 million, and rather than report the discovery to the police, Moss decides to simply take it. This puts the psychopathic killer, Anton Chigurh, on his trail, who murders nearly every rival, bystander, and even employer in his pursuit of the money. Moss and Chigurh engage in a bloody game of cat and mouse across the Texas landscape. Trailing behind them is the aged sheriff Ed Tom Bell, who struggles to understand the sheer enormity of the crimes he is attempting to thwart. Rated R. No Country for Old Men has been on my radar since it released in November 2007. I've always heard great things about it, but I've never been able to see it. And now, after watching it, I am both impressed and disappointed. It did win 4 Oscars, including Best Directing and Best Writing. Also, this review will contain spoilers, so if you're like me and you haven't seen this 18-year-old film, then it's probably best to mute now. Josh Brolin plays Llewellyn Moss, the man who discovers the crime scene and takes the money. He immediately has his younger wife, Carla Jean, played by Kelly MacDonald, pack up her things and go stay with her mother, as he stays behind to tie up loose ends. Unfortunately, this will be the last time that they see each other alive. Brolin is perfectly cast as the gruffly endearing cowboy. He knows how to handle himself and is always planning ahead. He feels like a real guy that you want to know. Javier Bardem plays psychotic killer Anton Chigurh in a Best Supporting Actor Oscar-winning performance. Not much of a background story is given for him, but we do see his brutality very early on in the film. He kills a cop and an innocent motorist without hesitation. But once he gets to a gas station, we learn a little bit about his beliefs. This scene at the gas station is one of the most tense things I have watched this year. Chigurh engages in an odd conversation with the gas station attendant that ends in a coin toss. The audience knows that if the worker loses the coin toss, he will be killed. But the worker doesn't know this. This coin toss system comes up multiple times throughout the film. It's one of Anton's rules, and not playing along is not an option. Javier Bardem plays this role so convincingly. It's pretty freaky. His deadpan stare and monotone voice hide his true motives. He also has this haircut that would be pretty funny if he wasn't about to kill you. It's no surprise that Javier Bardem won the Oscar for this role. It was a nuanced performance. His subtle expressions and actions tell more than any speech could. Rounding out the main trio is Sheriff Ed Tom Bell, played by Tommy Lee Jones. Bell is an older officer who comes from a long line of lawmen. He is a man out of place and time. Bell is cut from the cloth of yesteryear, where the line between good and evil was more defined. His version of law enforcement isn't applicable to the changing world of crime. The cartels represent this change. They're more lawless and don't have a code of honor. And because of this stark difference, Sheriff Bell is not an effective sheriff. He is out of his element. And often he doesn't even try to solve the crime, instead allowing the FBI and the DEA handle it. But once he makes a promise to Carla Jean about finding Llewellyn, he has to get more involved. Though he is always a step behind everything, the viewer is left wondering if this is intentional on his part. He has this underlying fear of being out of his element, which may be preventing preventing him from being more proactive. Tommy Lee Jones does a good job with the role. He perfectly sells this aging Texas lawman persona, though I wanted a bit more of his vulnerability to show through. I think it would have made him a more relatable character. His belief that there's no country for old men like him would have been better expanded with more emotion. His performance was my least favorite of the main trio, but it was still solid. I want to quickly mention Deputy Wendell, played by Garrett Dillahunt, who is Bell's second in command. He's a younger officer who's eager to learn from Bell, but you can see him confused with how Bell is refusing to do more for the cases. He doesn't push back as much as I would have liked, but I did enjoy their conversations. I wish Deputy Wendell was in more of the film. There were a few other characters that were introduced that seemed out of place. The first was Carson Wells, played by Woody Harrelson. He was hired to connect with both Moss and Chigurh to ensure the return of the money. He's kind of this goofy cowboy character who's framed to be this all-knowing person. But after talking to both men, he's killed and never mentioned again. His arc felt like this odd detour. The second character was Ellis, played by Barry Corbin. Randomly in the movie, Sheriff Bell arrives at a homestead and begins talking to a man in a wheelchair named Ellis. The audience has no idea who this guy is, and this is his first and only appearance in the film. From their conversation, it can be inferred that the two men are related in some way. I actually had to look up who he was. Apparently, he's Bell's uncle. In the novel, which this movie is based upon, they have many conversations together. Ellis is a kind of guiding confidant to Bell. While their conversation had some poignancy, it probably could have been held with a different character. No Country for Old Men is a sweeping western game of cat and mouse. Moss and Chigurh chase each other from town to town. It seems to be the first time that Chigurh has had a challenging job, and he revels in that. That is, however, until Moss gets the upper hand and Chigurh is pushed over the edge, as if he can get any more over that edge. There's tension, action, and gratuitous violence. Anton has this crazy shotgun with this huge suppressor on it that's both awesome and terrifying. I was glued to the TV the whole time. I really regret not seeing this in theaters. Hopefully it gets re-released for an anniversary or something. The visuals are breathtaking. The Coen brothers are not afraid to let the scenery take center stage. The audience is treated to sweeping landscapes and full views of locations before going in for tighter shots. It's a very engaging film style that the Coen brothers are known for. The score is similar. There are chunks of the movie that don't actually have much music playing. Instead, the sounds of the locations are allowed to flourish. This helped to immerse me into the film. I didn't even notice that many scenes didn't have major musical backing because I was so immersed into the film. It is until the third act. The film makes a huge turn and, in my opinion, loses all of its momentum. It killed the flow, pacing, and storytelling. It derailed the film. After reading some other reviews, it seems that I'm not alone in this opinion. In fact, it's pretty controversial. Now, as I said, I was super focused on the film, absorbing everything that I was seeing. Then, Sheriff Bell rolls up to a hotel and other police are already there. On the floor of one of the rooms is, spoiler, Llewellyn Moss, dead. But I didn't even realize it was him at first. One, they didn't even show close-ups of his face. It's definitely a dead man on the floor wearing his clothes, but that's it. I figured it was another innocent person who Moss traded clothes with to throw his pursuers off his trail, which happens a lot in movies. But now Carla Jean arrives and she is devastated, and we still don't get that close-up of his face. Second, why would they kill off a main character off screen? It's said that some of the cartel members found him and killed him. And that's it. After almost 2 hours of cat and mouse tension and action, Moss's story ends off camera to little fanfare. I was flabbergasted. I even rewound the film to make sure I didn't miss anything. There's no final confrontation. There's no climactic battle. Just the main character killed off by some nameless, faceless goons. Moss and Chigurh never get to have an actual face-to-face conversation. It's possible that Moss was killed off camera to show how he was so focused on Chigurh and completely forgot about the cartel. While that could be true, I still don't like the choice to not show the audience that. Others say it doesn't matter because Sheriff Bell is actually the main character of the film, which I don't agree with. I do think that the sheriff is important because he's the one that's experiencing the No Country for Old Men theme that's prevalent throughout the film. But the film follows Moss and Chigurh just as much, if not more. The remainder of the film just kind of clunks along. We get a scene between Carla Jean and Chigurh that's fairly tense, but it feels a little hollow. Because again, I wasn't waiting for these two to meet each other. I wanted Moss and Chigurh. The movie ends with a now retired Sheriff Bell having breakfast with his wife. He recounts 2 dreams he had the night prior, and then the credits credits roll. Of course, there's a lot of conversations about this finale and the dreams mentioned. He talks about dreaming of his father giving him some money that he subsequently loses. It seems like a pretty straightforward analogy to either the $2 million in the film, or perhaps it symbolizes the mantle of a police officer's responsibilities. The second dream consists of Bell and his father riding horseback in the snow. His father has a horn with a flame in it. He rides ahead of Bell to prepare to light a fire. Some believe that this symbolizes Bell's feelings about death, that he's going to be soon joining his father there. Others say that it shows how the light of the past can still light the uncertain journey to the future. Honestly, it's all up for interpretation. I was personally still reeling from the shock of Moss's death, so I didn't even get the dreams much thought. It's kind of this open-ended finale that doesn't sit well with me. This movie could have easily been a 10 out of 10 film, but these creative choices in the final act devastated my enjoyment. And that is why I'm giving the 2007 film No Country for Old Men the not perfect but still solid score of 8 out of 10. With the exception of the ending, this was one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's a pristinely made film about choices, consequences, and changing the world. I'd recommend it to anyone. So tell me, how would you interpret the film No Country for Old Men? Leave me your $1 million comments down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you can mosey on back for more great reviews throughout the rest of the year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the range.